Bonjour, bonjour from New York City. This is Wanda from Wine with Wanda. It's a beautiful Friday, and what better way to spend the day than drinking champagne, but drinking champagne with Émilien Boutillat, who is the chef de cave or the chief winemaker for Piper-Heidsieck and Rare Champagne.
Indeed. Hello, Wanda. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be able to be here with you in New York and test some beauty.
Absolutely. So I feel that I met you at the very beginning of your career with Piper-Heidsieck. So what year was that you joined?
It was in 2018. So I joined the 1st of October 2018. So I don't remember if we met end of 18 or early in the 2019 year, but yeah, we met at my very beginning at Piper. So no, it has been already 7 years.
It's flown by, and you've had so much success. I believe twice named Sparkling Winemaker of the Year by the International Wine Challenge.
Indeed, lucky me.
Yes, lucky you.
And it's not only me. I mean, it's the tribute to the work of all the team at Piper and Rare, because actually I got the title first for Piper in 2021 and then Rare in 2023. So amazing.
Fabulous. Now you grew up in Champagne.
Yeah. My father is a vine grower, so I grew up with him in Champagne. I used to go in the vineyard with him, obviously for the harvest, but also to do the pruning by hand, riddling as well by hand in my small cellar. But then I wanted to leave Champagne and learn from abroad as well. So I went to study winemaking and also agronomy in Montpellier, in south of France.
Okay.
And then with the same idea, I wanted to make wine outside of Champagne. So I went to Châteauneuf-du-Pape, Château Margaux, and then abroad for 3 years. So I was able to make 2 harvests in 1 year, South Hemisphere in February, North Hemisphere in September. So I went to New Zealand, California, Chile, back to France a little bit, South Africa, and finally back to Champagne.
Do you sleep?
Yes, I did sleep a little bit, yeah. But no, it was amazing to be able to meet with plenty of different winemakers, different approach, different climate as well, different consumers. So it was a lot of experiences. And at some point, I realized that I wanted to bring maybe that experience back to Champagne. I wanted to go back home as well, to find again my family, friends. And I mean, we have an amazing terroir in Champagne. So at the end of the day, I wanted to be back and be able to work in Champagne.
So Champagne is such an iconic region. Piper-Heidsieck is such an iconic house. What were some of those lessons that you brought back with you? Because when you first joined Piper, there was a lot of attention, like he's the youngest. And you're still young.
Yeah, but less young every year, you know. No, I mean, Champagne is very traditional and with plenty of rules, and that's really the strength of Champagne as well. But in that rules, we need to find freedom. And I think going away helped me also to open my mind and be able to also bring also new ideas into Champagne. So I work in many different places, some very small places, very tailor-made wine, where I learned the attention for every single details, like in Chateau Margaux or Peter Michael in winery. I went to New Zealand in a bigger winery, where I learned how to make wine, good wine, but in a big scale. So I learned how to be also efficient. So I think Champagne is the only place in the world where we, at the end of the day, need to produce amazing tailor-made wine with quite a fair amount of bottle, especially for Piper. So to have the experience for both was actually very, very interesting.
You know, Piper-Heidsieck's in that elite canon of wines, like where people will just say Piper. And people immediately know what you're talking about. Talking about history goes back to 1785.
Yes.
So how has Piper-Heidsieck endured? What do you think makes it so special and still such a benchmark?
Yeah, I mean, we are one of the oldest Champagne house, as you said, 1785, so 240 years of anniversary this year. So that's quite a long journey. We have a long love story also with the US. I mean, we are here in the US for decades, century even during the Prohibition. We were quite efficient to make sure our consumers here in the US were happy and were able to get some bottle. And so right after the Prohibition, we were one of the, if not the Champagne of the US, the number one. Marilyn Monroe was a big fan also of Piper-Heidsieck Champagne.
Yes, her famous quotes.
Yeah.
When I go to bed, I put on Chanel number 5. When I wake up, I drink Piper-Heidsieck because it warms me up.
You know it. So that's true. So we have all that history, that legacy, which is very strong. And also today, I think Piper, it's also a very modern, audacious brand that we always have been quite audacious and bold, but that's really in our DNA. And the style of our champagne is also very in line with that vibrancy, that energy that make Piper so lively. So that's why I think we have that history, that love story with the US, and we are still very, very strong here in the US and still a benchmark.
Well, you're making me thirsty. Can we have a little sip?
Sure, and we can start with Piper. This is the new vintage,
Okay.
2018 vintage, just landing here in the US. So let's have a sip.
Yes.
Let's have a taste. So the vintage for us is really linked with the Montagne de Reims, which is the core terroir for the vintage, because this is also our historical vineyards. So you get a blend here of 50 Chardonnay.
Wow.
47 Pinot Noir and 3% Meunier, and the huge majority of the blend is coming from the Montagne de Reims, which means mainly Premier Cru and Grand Cru as well.
Well, a toast to you.
Cheers!
And to all of you for watching us.
Cheers.
I see people have joined. Cheers. 2018. That's a long time. A lot of patience you have to have.
Indeed. I mean, yes, that's champagne. You really need to be very patient. That's how you develop all the aromas, all the characteristics of amazing champagne. Yeah. So 18 is a very, very nice vintage in Champagne. Quite easy, I would say, for the grower. So no big challenge, quite sunny, dry, water and rain when you need it. But we reach a perfect ripeness. So you can smell it on the nose. It's full of fruit, some black cherry, some plum, some peach, a touch of toastiness as well. So you get really that balance between the fruit on one side, a touch of flower as well, but also the nice toastiness coming from the long aging. And on the palate, you get also that nice vibrancy of the fruit, the juiciness.
Beautiful juiciness and fullness, but not too ripe.
No, it's the crunchy fruit. We want that fruit to remain crunchy, vibrant, crispy. That's also part of the style of Piper, mainly based on black grapes, even though here it's a 50 Chardonnay, 47 Pinot Noir and 3 Meunier, but you get always that crispiness, vibrancy and minerality at the end, which is also very important for our style.
Now, I know you're a big proponent of not just saving champagne for special occasions, that you can enjoy it anytime, and it doesn't have to just be with the gourmet meal. So what are some of your favorite pairings with this 2018?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to celebrate every single day, and there's plenty of occasion to celebrate, so please do celebrate any occasion you might have. So the 2018 vintage is quite gastronomic champagne. So on its own, for the aperitif with some bites, it's perfect, but you can definitely make amazing pairing with like poultry. I mean, here in the US, one of the best pairing I love, very US, is fried chicken.
I knew you were going to say that. Yes.
That's very US.
It's a winner.
Very American. We don't do it in France, but actually anytime I come here in New York, I try to at least have one dinner like
And why do you think that works so well? Let's break it down for people. It has become very trendy, but there is a reason.
Yes, indeed, because of the toastiness in our champagne, the creaminess. It's a perfect match with the fried, actually.
And that acidity.
And that acidity. So it fits with the salt and the acidity. It's a perfect match between the acidity and the fried, especially fried chicken.
Yes.
So, I mean, this is definitely a good pairing, but you can also do pairing with the fish, with the seafood, with the essence, with the vintage 18. It works very well. It can be a nice piece of John Dory fish or branzino, but you can bring also some generosity through the sauce au beurre blanc. You can really play a lot with this one.
Wonderful. And this is the newly released vintage. And the great thing also about Piper-Heidsieck, great distribution, as you say. Your relationship in the U.S. is so long that these wines are accessible to people.
Accessible everywhere in the U.S. I mean, in the restaurant on one side, but also in the fine wine store. So definitely you will be able to find it.
Yes, I think Marilyn Monroe had the right idea. Starting the day off with the little Piper-Heidsieck. Now we're getting to, now I know in the U.S. we say rare, but it's really
Actually, when I do speak in English, I say rare as well. But indeed, the word in French is rare. Rare. I would try to say rare.
Yeah, it's rare.
So, rare champagne. You say, I almost said rare.
We can say rare. We can say rare.
So, rare champagne used to be the prestige cube of Piper. But in 2018, we decided to launch it as a standalone brand because the brand itself is very unique. The roots of rare champagne are also in 1785, when our founder, Mr. Heidsieck, went to the Château de Versailles to meet with the Queen, Marie Antoinette. He went there, he presented to her his best wine, his best bottle, because he wanted to create a cuvée, a wine, a champagne, worthy of a queen. That's what he wrote in his diary.
Oh, he wrote that?
Yeah, he wrote that. So we have that. So that's for us really the inspiration of rare champagne. But no, the real date of birth of rare champagne is 1985. So 200 years after, we, in order to give a tribute to that moment, to celebrate that 200 years anniversary, we did a big party in the Chateau de Versailles with hundreds of guests to release and reveal to the world the first vintage of Rare. 1976 vintage, revealed and released in the Chateau de Versailles.
Oh, how exciting. That's also the bicentennial of the US.
Yeah.
1976. So is that why there's kind of like this tiara?
Indeed, the tiara is a tribute to the crown, to Marie Antoinette. It's also an allegory of the vines triumphing from the nature, because sometimes the vineyards face like strong weather. It can be a heat wave, it can be frost, it can be hail. So, and from that difficulties, we think that the grapes and the vines give it best, produce amazing fruit that will give birth to amazing, incredible wine. And that's what we believe in at Rare. So that's why also we do not make a vintage every year. So far, the first vintage, as I said, was 1976. So far, we only produce and release 14 vintages.
Wait, only since 1976?
Yes. So in 40 years, let's say, of history, only 14 vintages released. And the most recent one is this one, the 2012.
2012. So again, that patience of waiting. How do you know? So 2012, why did you feel like now it's ready to be released in 2025? What are you looking for it to develop?
Yeah, it's really the tasting that will guide us. The tasting that guide us when it's time to make the blend. So right after the harvest, for the 6 months after the harvest, we test blind all the wine and we pick the one that have the style and the ability of aging that we need for Rare. And then when it's the question to know when we release it, we test during the aging process only. So we test them many times. And actually for the 12, we did something we never did before because we switched vintages. We released the 2013 vintage before the 2012 vintage. So that's quite unusual.
That is unusual.
But we did it because I remember very well, testing that with my team side by side, 12 and 13. 13 is amazing too, no worries. But we looked to each other and realized that with 12, we had something even more special, very unique that remind us another and maybe two other iconic vintage for Rare, 02 and 98. So we had probably something in 12 in common with these two amazing vintages. So we decided to leave it even more on lease. We wait one more year to develop its full potential and express fully the style of Rare.
Well, I'd love to try it to see what makes it so special. And also because it's not made every vintage and it has the name Rare, maybe a little more effort to find this one because it's a smaller production.
Definitely a small. Rare is Rare. It's on the label. It's easy to remember. It's not every year. It's a limited quantity we produce every year. That's really my decision to decide to make it or not make it, and also to adjust the quantity we produce to what we can really do. So obviously it's a more limited edition champagne. You will find it in the amazing place, gastronomic place, Michelin star restaurant, the Palace, obviously here in the US. So mainly in the key cities because it's hard to speak about country for Rare as it's smaller, but in the key city, in the finest place, you will definitely be able to find it.
Lovely. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Well, I'm seeing even in the color.
Yeah, it's more Chardonnay. So Piper and especially the vintage is normally more dominated by the Pinot Noir. Here you get 70% Chardonnay, 30% Pinot Noir.
Does Rare always lead with Chardonnay or just depends on the...
No, the blend is quite consistent year after year. So that with that blend of 70 Chardonnay and 30 Pinot Noir. The Chardonnay are coming from both the Côte des Blancs, but also the Montagne de Reims. And actually the key village, the iconic terroir for Rare champagne is Villers-Marmerie.
Okay. And it's so important to remember because we hear Chardonnay, but you're really kind of building this tapestry, Chardonnay from different areas, it's a blend of Chardonnays. Because each one has a different characteristic.
Yeah, in that bottle, you have a blend of 11 different wines, 11 different terroirs. In the 12, they are all Premier or Grand Cru. Sometimes we can have some other villages because we don't want to close the door, but really we pick the wine that are exceptional, the jewel we find in a vintage. You have to imagine that I test hundreds of wine each single year. And for Rare, we only picked 10 up until 15 maybe of them to build the blend of Rare and to get that signature. Rare on the nose, even though it's a vintage and we express the reality of one vintage, you always get on the nose that signature with a touch of tropical fruit. Here I can smell some pineapple, a touch of passion fruit. That's always very well balanced with some flower side. Here it's more like a wildflower, orange blossom. The toastiness obviously is here, the spiciness. And on the palate, the touch of Rare is also nice, silky, creamy texture at the beginning, and then a very pure finish on the minerality, on the saltiness as well. And
it's lovely.
It's lovely,
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it? And you get also that idea of concentration.
Mm-hmm.
12 was, on the opposite, a very challenging vintage
Mm-hmm.
for the grower. They had to face early in the season some hail, some spring frost, some rain. So at the beginning of the summer, we already lost plenty of grapes.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully the summer turned to very beautiful, sunny, dry. So at the end of the day, we harvested a small harvest, but amazing in quality with that idea of concentration in the grapes.
Yeah, I love the richness of it. There's that hint of tropical. That pineapple is really peeking through, but so bright and crisp. Really, a pleasure. And you can tell that this is going to go for many more years.
Oh, yes. We already aged it for quite a long time. 2012 released this year in 2025, so it's already more than 12 years of aging, but you can definitely keep it in your cellar for decades. It will still be there in like 20, 30 years.
So I say get more than one. Get more than one. So because you mentioned climate change, I want to talk about something else. I'm looking at the back of these bottles and I see certified B Corporation.
Yes,
what
indeed.
does that mean exactly?
So the B that you can see here on the back label, it's the small B here, means B Corp. So it's a US certification at the beginning, actually. B Corp was born here in the US like something like 20 years ago. It's a certification that covers every aspect of the CSR policy we have, which means that it covers every sustainable approach we have regarding the environment, obviously. And that starts in the vineyard. We are sustainable certified in our own vineyard. We encourage our growers to move toward that direction. But B Corp also asks us to look at our water footprint, the energy footprint, the carbon footprint. So that's really the global environmental footprint we look at, but also the social impact, the societal impact. So the equality between men and women, so all that stuff. And also how do we work closely with the company based in Champagne, like the glassware we use for the bottle. They are produced less than 40 kilometers away from the winery, for example. So B Corp push us really to think sustainable at each step of the process. That's really the most demanding CSR certification. And we got it in 2022. And actually we just renewed the certification this year, a few weeks ago, improving the score. So we are very proud of that. And that's a result of the commitment of all the team and every one of us, from the vineyard to the winery, to the winemaking team, but also to the supply chain. So everyone is involved in that certification.
And like you said, it starts in a vineyard. We have to remember these beautiful wines start with Mother Nature and farming. And so it's so important that you had that mission to be sustainable and protect it for future generations.
That's
and for the people who are working there as well. Yeah. So we talked about fried chicken here, but with Rare, maybe we would go a little more fancy, I think.
I mean, Rare is definitely calling for, as I said before, like gastronomic restaurant, Michelin-star restaurants. You want to go for a very elegant dish. With the 12, you can either go with like something very pure. That you were just mentioning that there is no great champagne without great product. This is the same thing in the plate. I think Rare is also calling for purity. So you need to have like the best ingredients, the best. Again, the seafood for me is a perfect match. You can bring maybe some caviar with it.
Of course.
Why not? Why not?
Start with some caviar, maybe a little Dover sole. Would be nice.
And because you get that idea of iodine, that minerality, that salinity also in Rare that is calling for this type of saltiness as well in the dish. So this type of very high-end combination will be a good match, I think.
So in addition to being a talented winemaker, you've traveled all over the world. I think also what you excel at is wine superpower, which is bringing people together. You know, you're so good at connecting with people. I've seen you at events throughout the years and I've seen other videos. And I think you really embody, especially Champagne, which is celebratory, to bring that energy and that joy.
Well, that's what we want. I mean, that joy, the Champagne is all about sharing, the celebration, as we said, and we need to celebrate every single day, but it's also sharing and spending time together, enjoying the life and an amazing tasting together. So that's really important to get together and share a nice bottle of champagne or wine. So that's really what we believe in. And that idea of joy is really at the heart of what we do both at Piper and Rare. Actually, the founder used to say something else that I love. That was also wrote in his diary.
Okay.
He said that was for Piper that he wanted to seriously create wine that smiles.
Wine that smiles.
Yeah, and that's definitely us because seriously creating is what we do. We talk about B Corp and the sustainability approach, but beside that, we are very committed and give a big attention to every detail when it's time to make the wine. So we are very serious on that part.
Yes.
But then at the end of the day, we want you to smile when enjoying a glass of champagne. And our champagne, our style is really on that joyful character, full of life, full of vibrancy. So yeah. That's what we love.
Well, you know, that's a very noble mission. The world needs more of that. And I thank you for bringing smiles and joy to my day.
Perfect.
So cheers.
Cheers, Wanda.
Thank you all for watching. Share some Piper and some Rare and share some smiles and some joy. It's not that hard. We can all do it.
Cheers.
Cheers.